Go ahead. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll have roll call.
Gary Mertig,
Yes.
Rick Corpola,
Here.
Michael Berlin,
Here.
William Metzinger,
Here.
Martin Vitak.
Yep.
All present. Then we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Motion by Marty,
I'll second it.
second by Rick. Any questions, additions? All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the January 11th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Also move.
Okay, got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Rick, second by, motion by Bill, second by Rick. Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment via Zoom or in presence with no.
We have one unidentified caller.
Okay. Is anybody on the Zoom call or by phone wish to speak?
No, we can't hear you.
Okay. Is that phone number up there, Amber?
Yeah, 681-0672.
That's Supervisor Huber.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Number 5, Commissioner reports, updates on employees' work schedules and construction.
All right. No new changes on employees. We're at full staff yet. Everything is going fairly well. So with employees, I don't have any issues.
You're very lucky with the snow.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with all that money to save? Go for it.
It's too early. Knock on wood.
We'll see.
I got a question for you. Is all the employees working right now?
Yes.
Nobody's off.
Vacation
Pardon me?
days. Vacation days.
Oh,
Yeah, we had one that his wife had a baby Thursday, Friday, so he's off this week. Other than that, yeah, everybody is here. Yep. Just an update. Our department was offered the COVID shot back in January. 11 of the 16 employees took it, so not everybody, but pretty decent. So we're sitting good that way. Hopefully.
Those that didn't take it don't get it.
Yeah,
Did you take it?
I did.
You get sick?
I was sick for about 12 hours. I had a low-grade fever and the chills.
On the second one?
Second one. Yep.
I've had the first one. I have the second one next week. The first one, I got sick.
Okay.
But
They say with the first one, if you had COVID, you'll get sick on the first one.
that's what
If you didn't have COVID, you'll get sick on the second one.
Yeah.
So that's my wife. She just had her second one actually last week, and she was the same as me, 12 hours of fever and chills. So
Yeah, I
pretty minor.
had both of them and I didn't get sick in either one.
Okay.
So it's been over a week, so.
Sure.
Were you totally shot last week too?
What?
Were you totally shot last week too?
No. I wasn't shot a bit.
So, no one questions on employees. I'll move on to work schedule.
Okay.
We've been, not plowing very much snow every now and again. A week ago Sunday, we had a pretty good blast there, 7-8 inches. I was on call that weekend. That was some nasty stuff. I stopped on County C. My pickup just slid right sideways to the shoulder of the road. I mean, it just was that slippery.
Not good.
But so we have been plowing some. We've been brushing down on GG between Mellon and Clam Lake when we get a chance, cutting it back. Through to some of that cold snap, we didn't work outside. We were doing more inside projects. We replaced some of the lights down in Glidden with LEDs. We've been just doing building maintenance. We put in a brine system here, which we got going sometime in January. You see them 3 big tanks back there. There's a brine maker back behind there. The state bought the brine maker and one of the tanks. They paid about $60,000 for us to get that. The county bought the other 2 tanks and put in the plumbing. That allows us to make the salt brine right here. We're actually, for a water source, since we're on a well, we don't have very fast water. The smaller tank is fresh water. We have 5,000 gallons of fresh water sitting there. And then the two big tanks, the one on the far right is actually, we're sucking out of our, I don't want to call it a septic tank because it's not septic. All the floor drains go into a tank outside. So we're sucking it back in, running it through a filter system, and then put it into there, and then we make the salt brine out of that, basically dirty water. So we're reusing it instead of paying
That's
number
pretty
two
good.
septic to come empty our tanks for us. We're reusing it back on the roads again. So that's working pretty well. We had a little issue with a smell. It was just bad smelling. I think it's the beet product we have in there fermenting kind of. So we've been dumping some like pool shock in it. Tried a few different products. That seems to work the best, and it's knocking the smell out of it. So I think it's going to work good. I talked to Josh from zoning and the DNR, and they said, great, you can reuse the water rather than having to send it to the town to go through their septic sewer system. That's great. So we just have to track the amount of water that we're reusing. We're doing some patching. Yeah, Marty.
If you had to send that through a sewer system, what would you haul it down to Mellon and run it through?
I think number 2 hauls it to Ashland. I think.
Okay.
I believe that's where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
We were paying last year, since we had this building done, on average about once a week we'd have them come empty it for $175. So yeah, it's good. We haven't had to have them come now since we got this working, and it seems to be working great.
I think that's a good idea. I just was curious where you would haul it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming up through the spring now, we'll continue brushing. We'll be doing our patching, just getting ready for the summer season here coming up. Any questions on the work schedule?
The road limits are going up when?
The road limits are going on at 9 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a hard decision last week. I talked to my counterparts at all the counties around us, and at the time the forecast was for warm over the weekend with possibly rain on Sunday. They've since kicked the rain off until Wednesday, but we were starting to see surface thaw, and we didn't want to kick it out any further than that. So
You made the right decision, because if you look at the dirt roads, the gravel roads,
yeah,
Yeah.
they're already muddy,
they are.
and it
Yeah,
wouldn't take much with these big trucks hauling to,
yeah.
so I support what you did there.
Good, thank you. Yeah, it was a hard decision. It's like you usually wait to see a little bit more thaw, but being over the weekend and how long do you keep waiting, and then give the guys a couple days notice, and that we just decided collectively, as I believe all the counties around us, I know Bayfield, Douglas, Washburn, Sawyer, Price, Iron, everybody around us, we all went between today at 9 a.m. or noon. Some of them went to noon. So the DOT also, they post 169, they're going at noon today also. So. Any other questions on work schedule? Go to 21 construction. Little update on GG south of Clam Lake there. We have 2 projects there this summer. One project, if you remember, is from Elf Road South. That was a federal flat grant project. We have $1 million worth of funding on that. That came in well below anticipated budget, so that was good. Between $200,000 and $300,000 less, which it actually came in about perfect to what when Emmer put in for the grant, what his initial estimate was. But at last year's costs, the engineering firm that's doing it increased the estimate, and now it came back to where he had it. So that came in at $1,450,307.56. Then our portion that we are working on from Elf Road up to Highway 77, that bid last week, that came in at $504,481. So that was real close. I think I was in that 525, 550 area for my estimate. So that came in a little bit lower, but pretty close to that estimate. So yeah, in our improvement budget for this year, we had anticipated 2.3. We're at about 1.95 is with our project. So I was glad to see that.
And you're talking that 504,000, that's the Elf Road back to Clam Lake.
Back to Clam Lake, yes.
And then the other is the Elf Road south to
Yes.
the county line.
Yes. So all 13 miles will get paved this year, just in 2 different projects. And out of that 504, we have, I think, 231,000 in state LRIP funding. So the county's portion is, approximately half of that, or a little over half. But so we did good on the bidding this year. They came in about $5 less a ton than last year. I don't know why, if it was just the amounts, if they have other paving in the area. But
I think the price of oil is down. Now it's gone up, but I think they bought it at the right time.
they bought it early.
Right.
Yeah, very well could have. So yeah, I am still working on the county end project with that closed dollars. That will be actually going out to bid this week. That'll be due early April. We will be required to have an April meeting of this committee to approve that. That one has to be approved for the federal process, where these other ones were approved in our budget, so we don't have to have a full on them. They were already approved. So we will be required for April meeting for that other project. Yes. Bill.
I see in the paper, I think I seen it in the paper, that you're advertising for summer help.
Yes.
How many people are we planning on hiring?
We generally look for 6.
6?
If we can find them. We have a tough time filling it every year, but that's what we
But
shoot
our
for.
kids in college or secondary education, they got first chance, or?
Yes, we hope, we try to get college kids, and it's mainly, we don't end up paying workman's comp, or unemployment insurance on them later on. The county doesn't pay into unemployment, so if somebody makes a claim, then we have to pay the full amount at that time. So if they go to college, we don't ever have to pay unemployment on them later down the line, where if you hire somebody not in college, they're done in end of August, September, they maybe find a different job, go to the wood mill in Mellon and work for 3 months, get laid off, and then we end up paying them unemployment insurance. But
So when would they start?
we like them to start in May to early June, and then work through the end of August.
I sent that notice to the school
Perfect. Thank you.
in Butternut. I thought, hey, there may be
Yeah,
kids they either know from last year or whatever in the future.
we have 2 on board already, so we're looking for 4 more, I believe. Yet. Okay.
Yeah, one more might be coming back from last year.
We don't know on one
Yeah,
more.
she's still deciding, so I'm sure 3 or 4 more.
Marty,
What's the minimum age?
18 years old. Yes. So that's a basic update on construction. Anybody have any questions on anything there?
That county end,
Yes.
that's from town of Jacobs to,
It is right down from the bridge, around the corner to the Green Lantern there, that section that's bad.
right?
So up the hill, that's still pretty new to Madison Street. So that's not getting done. Then from Madison Street to Pine Curve, where we began paving last year.
Right, okay.
So N will be in real good shape. I mean, that last 5 miles was done last year. Was a year before, 2 years ago, we did that section, the Main Street section. So there'll be that little piece up the hill but that's still in good shape from, maybe 10 years old.
Right.
But
Good.
yes,
I question the status of the bridge over the Bad River in Mellon. What's going on there?
on Highway 13, that bridge, the state has since decided to replace it. They are going to, that would be in 23, I believe. They're going to raise it 4 feet. It's I believe they have purchased or are in the process of purchasing that old Express Mart there. So they're gonna raise that bridge 4 feet, then they're gonna change that intersection. They can't get rid of the tracks, the railroad still wants them. So they'll change that 77 intersection, bring it up, so there'll be a lot flatter. It won't be such a kind of a bad intersection with how 77 came in on that angle and the whole tracks business.
There's a transition there.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that is the game plan now, to put a new bridge in and raise that 4 feet higher.
Now, you said 2023.
Yes,
That Mellon project, the highway through Mellon, is that when that's been pushed back to too?
it is in 23.
So they'll do it all at the same,
I believe so. That's my understanding right now. Yeah.
because I know
We
Mellon
were
was going back and forth the last year or two. They first they moved it
Yeah.
up, then they pushed it back.
We were supposed to be doing that Tyler Street or Tyler Avenue, Tyler Street there. If you go down their main drag toward their ball field, that bridge was supposed to be done in 23 also. We don't know that we can do it the same year. You know, it might have to get kicked out. That's funded through the federal bridge program. That might have to be kicked to 24. We tried to get it in 22, but the state couldn't make it happen with all the funding. Mainly the funding. The engineer said he could do it, but the state said they couldn't do it funding wise. So it would have been really nice to have that bridge in place to use as kind of a detour out to access to the main downtown Mellon, but at this point, it's not going to happen. The other thing that happened over the winter, from Mellon south to Morse Corner there, that they did all the culverts last year, they had told us that was getting paved this year. That got kicked out through the state until next year, till 22, which is terrible because you know as well as they did a terrible job patching over the culverts.
That road is.
And now they're going to kick it out a year. It's very unfortunate, but yeah.
Well, it is a good thing to fix that. That is kind of a roller coaster by the cracks.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, Mellon will be a mess in 23. I mean, it's they're going to work it in sections, but there's not good ways around it. You know, I think the detour is going to be out 169 to Butler Road, to Olson Road, which comes out on 77, and then back on that, Jefferson Street, cuts across by the school. It's going to be a bit of a disaster, but
You think?
you got to do what you got to do for progress, I guess, at some point.
I don't know.
Any other questions on construction? All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Item 6.
So if you remember in our January meeting, we had talked about this, and I had asked you guys to think about what happens if we do not get a referendum. At that point, we didn't know if there was going to be a referendum or not. Now there is for sure, but I just would like to start the discussion. We don't have to make any decisions today, but what do you guys think? I mean, I kind of put it in our packet here, you know, some of our main objectives. Obviously, snow plowing is a high, you know, it's a level of service issue on the budget. Overtime, mowing, you know, we try to do 2 passes wide right now. We do some brushing every year, pavement maintenance, patching, pothole patching, crack sealing, and line striping. We try to replace culverts that are going bad. We have a program that we check them every 2 years and get a snapshot of all the culverts in the county to see where we're at, and we go after the worst ones, try to replace them before they cave in. We do building maintenance. We have a fair amount of buildings. You know, we have between this, all of the buildings around here, Ashland, Glidden, and then equipment maintenance. That's the main parts of the budget that come from general levy dollars. I did not put the equipment purchase on this list because that comes from debt service already. It hasn't been part of the general levy for a few years now, so I did not add that to this list. But so if we don't have a referendum, I'm anticipating $50,000 to $70,000 worth of cuts in our department, somewhere in that range. So I would like some guidance and a conversation with you guys. What do we not want to do? I personally, I believe in pavement maintenance. I mean, obviously you got to patch the potholes. You got to keep up with that. But we spend a lot of money every year crack sealing county highways. I don't have an exact number. We generally buy about 3 loads of material at $25,000 a piece. Probably 1 load goes on the state, so $50,000 worth of material. And there's probably another $50,000 worth of labor and equipment on that. I feel that's saving our pavements for the future. If we do not do that, they're going to go bad that much faster. We can't afford to replace them hardly as it is, so we need to preserve them as much as possible. So I don't like to see us touch that pavement maintenance. Line striping, we paint our lines every year. We do half of the county roads. Next year we do the other half. So with water-based paints, by the second year they're getting pretty dim. You can't see them very well anymore. So culvert replacement, I mean, we spend money there every year, but we go after the stuff that's basically it's at failure stage or close to it. So
here's the situation, Matt. I think all of these things are important, but there's a difference between maintenance on buildings and maintenance on equipment and purchasing. Obviously, the first place somebody's going to look is purchases. Okay, what could we put off for a year or whatever? The maintenance you got to do. I'll give you a good example. You're talking about crack sealing. I've already been walking the roads, and some of the cracks that were sealed last year, every year they do it, they're opened up an inch already.
Mm-hmm.
You know as well as we do, they got to be fixed.
Sure.
So the maintenance is easier. It would be when you come with your budget and say, hey, I want to buy 3 trucks next year, as an example. Then we look at it and say, hey, maybe we put 1 off.
Sure.
But here's our other problem. If the public, before this referendum, which is a 50-50 crapshoot right now, if the public finds out the county's going to get $3 million+ from the feds, this referendum's doomed. Because I've already gotten 2 calls from people asking about it, and I said, I don't know anything for sure. That's not in stone. It could be, but
the problem with that $3 million is at this point, we're being told, and Clark can speak better to this probably. I don't know what we can spend it on.
Correct.
A lot of it's COVID related expenses. We don't have $3 million in COVID related expenses in Ashland County.
Well, and that's the problem, because some people have already seen that.
Yes.
And the referendum's on a teeter-totter right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to be jumping down everybody's throat saying, well, you're going to get this money, so you don't need the referendum.
Correct. So
but
Clark did send an email out late last week saying it's possible the referendum dollars might be able to use for roads, paving. I don't have any other details on that. I haven't heard anything else from any other sources. So that would be great. I mean, that's the next thing on our agenda is to talk about the improvement fund. And if we can put $2 million out of that into the improvement fund, that's a bonus. I mean, very much so.
You think? If the referendum passes, there won't be any need to do any cutting?
Correct. Yeah, I believe our budget would be very stable and we could continue on as we have been. That's my, I think, as far as I know, I haven't heard any different that it would be cuts at that point.
Yeah, if the referendum doesn't pass, I think we gotta go to the wheel tax. Because we need the income, and we'd be getting some income now that we wouldn't have anticipated. You had said it would take 90 days. once the county board passes it, if that's the case.
Yes.
But we'd be just jumping our guns right now. We have to wait and see if the referendum passes.
Go ahead, Marty.
Finish with me there, we'll talk about that. It's kind of different.
Okay. The other thing that's possibly happening, and this isn't set in stone by any means yet, is the governor's proposed budget he has for the next 2 years biennium. He has increases to gas tax, or DTA dollars that we get. That's great, but I had told Clark this here at our department head meeting the other week when it came out. That's maybe great for somebody. As for this department, it doesn't do me much good. We had to increase a $50,000 increase in gas tax last year over the previous year for 21. My general levy budget was cut by 50,000. So gas tax went up, general levy went down. I understand that Clark's trying to balance the budget. You know, he needed that 50,000 somewhere else. I get it, but you know, so I'm looking at it as, okay, so DTAs go up. It doesn't matter to my department. It's great for the county probably, because I expect it'll get taken to fill in gaps other places. If you guys could support me and say, you know, any increases in GTA need to stay in the department and the department budget needs to raise by that much, that would be great. I don't know if you could do that or not. I would love it, but
Well, it's just a point of fact, there is no governor's budget as of today.
it's a proposed governor.
Well, no, there's none. The Republicans have made it abundantly clear that that budget is gone.
Okay,
They're starting from scratch.
okay,
So we're right back to what we're always at.
Sure.
There's this party affiliation crap going on, and they told the governor his budget's off the table. So
okay.
now we're gonna have to promote to
Sure.
people who don't listen.
Yep.
And the Republicans don't listen? Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
I know.
Right.
I was gonna ask about that 3 million you mentioned, that's that COVID dollars that just passed through. Well, that's only a one-shot deal anyway.
Correct,
I didn't gladly take the money,
correct.
but there's no long.
And I'm telling everybody too, no matter what happens, whether the referendum passes or we get federal dollars, the county board is gonna have to still look at the budget. Because we can't continue on the path we're on, no matter if we get an influx of money or not, because it's not forever. Our costs are out of control. I mean, at some point, you gotta look at some items and say, hey, sorry, you're not getting that today. You're gonna have to get it tomorrow, because we can't, I mean, we're 1.7 million or whatever short on the health insurance for kind of, that could eat up everything we get. But
This referendum, if it passes, it's for the next 5 years.
Right.
So if we wouldn't have to do anything for 5 years, except cut, it's not gonna be enough.
right.
So we still have to do some cutting regardless. And we still have to look as far as what type of different income we could get, you know, if there's something out there. But I guess, you know, part of the problem is the timber value has gone way down this year. And we're not taking as much money in as far as that. So, you know, that's part of the problem, why we're short of money, you know.
But that's crazy. 'Cause you go to the lumber store,
I know.
2x4s are
Here's Gary, for the 100th time, I'm telling you this is a fact. I've said it in forestry and everybody's heard it 20 times. For years, all I heard was the feds have to start cutting timber. The federal government doesn't cut timber on the forest service. Guess what? They've been cutting. Guess what? The market sucks, the price went down, and the market's flooded. The feds are cutting as much as they can right now because they want income, and they're hurting our county. So now our county forest is getting hurt because the feds are cutting. So you gotta be careful what you wish for, because that's just what's happened. There's too much wood, there's not enough market. And you're right, the forestry for the county is, I mean, even their budget's down 200,000.
Unless we want to buy some lumber, that makes a difference.
Yeah,
It's right.
the price of lumber probably went up 40%.
Correct.
$31 for a sheet of OSB.
So we'll tell Matt that the highway department's not buying any lumber this year.
Try not to.
Yeah, so this is Clark. So when you think about a budget, we basically, no department is an island. We can't say that the sheriff that gets $4 million of general levy dollars has to balance his budget on just the revenues he gets. So we all throw money into the same pot. We all take money out of the same pot. There are some departments that maybe make money, like forestry, but they don't get to keep that. That gets distributed to go back in the same pot for general levy. You are correct with the possible pandemic stimulus dollars that will be coming our way. The Treasury Department will be looking at the restrictions on that. So you basically have pandemic costs, COVID costs, lost revenue, of which maybe timber might qualify for that. That's going to be an open-ended question, which is why would COVID be responsible for lost timber revenue? They're more geared towards lost sales tax. We've had an increase in sales tax actually of $20,000 over the previous year. So that's not it. So some of these questions are going to have to be answered by the Treasury Department. This won't go to pay for, let's say the county board wants to give raises to staff. That won't cover that. Let's say we want to support our healthcare insurance fund. It won't go for that. So one of the things that WCA has been looking at is saying, and these are all unanswerable questions at this point, which is, can you basically say that roads need, um, support for COVID pandemic response? And it's a stretch, but you can get there to say, well, you can't get ambulances and fire trucks and public safety out if you don't have roads. And so one of the things that the county administrators group has been talking about is, trying to basically put in into the road funds. The problem that we're going to have the Treasury Department weigh in on, and what is the timeline for this? So if you have to use it by the end of the year, well, it's going to be irrelevant because you're going to have 72 other counties all trying to do road projects this summer that never were budgeted, never were planned. There's not going to be the capacity and everything from paving to asphalt, everything else like that. If it's spread out over a few years, then you might be able to do that. So you are correct that this doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. The public is basically, the public looks at this and says, well, man, you're going to get $3 million. We don't need to pass this. The problem is you still may end up having to cut some services which are not mandated. Obviously, we can't cut mandated services. You're going to do those regardless. I'm also and I'll go over this tomorrow at the county board meeting. I'm also in communications with the governor's office and the Secretary of Revenue concerning they're very concerned about Ashland County's cash level and the possibility of Ashland County not being able to be an arm of the state to provide the mandated services. And so they're looking at maybe seeing if they can get a grant, or they're going to give some suggestions to the county board. I'll be providing a letter later on today from the Department of Revenue to the county board for the discussion tomorrow. So these are all relevant questions. And we're not here to set a 2022 budget. We don't know, we don't know where we're at with the referendum. We don't know where we're at with the federal dollars. And, we haven't put all of the budgets together to figure out where do we all fit. So that's kind of my general statement for today on that.
Thanks, Clark.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on that item for now?
I just want to keep it fresh in your mind. Have you guys thinking about if we do not get a referendum, where do you want cuts made in this department? I mean, it just, as I've said before, everything we do is for a pretty good reason. I'd like to think we don't have any wasted money. So what do we cut? What service do we get rid of? It's a hard question, and yeah.
You had a dollar figure in mind of what we could save by making some cuts. What were those cuts?
My one that I keep going back to is mowing. You know, like I said, I don't want to cut pavement maintenance because it saves us so much money down the road. We can quit mowing, and it doesn't have a huge effect short term on our budget. Long term, it will, because the brush will start growing. It costs more to get rid of it later. Um, the biggest effect mowing will have is public safety. I mean, you won't be able to see to get out of your driveway as well. You know, there'll be more deer accidents, there'll be more car crashes because somebody pulls out in front of somebody else. It's a big public safety issue, but it per se doesn't cost our department more money down the road. It, it's the kind of the least impact for our department long term that I can see.
Well, and the one thing too, Matt, is if we are going to have a meeting in April, we'll have it after the referendum.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that item should be back on just in case we need to.
Sure. Yeah, we will see obviously how the referendum goes and how everything goes, but yes.
And I'm going to have a county board meeting on April 20th, by the way, because what we figured is referendums on Tuesday the 6th. That would give us basically the week of the 12th, or the rest of that week, and basically 12th and 13th to write up a packet, and then come back to the county board on April 20th to discuss the ramifications one way or another. So yeah, April 20th, 9 o'clock board meeting.
Okay.
If we pass this on the 19th if the referendum fails, and on the 19th we pass that the referendum, the wheel tax should go to the county board, is that going to give you enough time, Clark, to put it on the agenda for the 20th meeting? If we pass it on the 19th?
Yeah.
Or you might want to delay your meeting?
I think we would have to, well, I think we would have to go to the May meeting basically, because anytime you're going to be putting something forth in front of this, to discuss, I think we would be criticized for rushing it. So if you're going to do this on the 19th of April, I would have it on the board and basically have it on the board meeting, let's say the May 11th, which would then put it 90 days, which would be June, July, August. So basically you'd start collecting money in September.
Could we kick our meeting up, the highway meeting up from the 19th to the 12th?
Well, the 12th is our normal date, but I'm going to be on vacation that week before that, so
What?
I don't know that I would be ready for it. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
What's vacation?
What's vacation?
What is that?
Well, when you're off every day.
I mean, we probably could do it on the 12th.
Would that give Clark enough time to put it on the agenda for the?
Yeah, but what?
The thing is
on
like
the
Clark
agenda?
says, I think we need a little bit more time to sell it to all the board members. If you try to do it too fast, it didn't go well last time.
But are you, Bill, hold on a second, are you talking about what would the highway committee have to do with the wheel tax?
Well, if the highway committee approved it, to bring it to the county board for
But
a vote.
I don't know how a wheel tax is a highway committee's function. That's.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would have to start at the highway committee to go to the full county board.
For a wheel tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's, I mean, I guess Dick could, or I don't remember the exact process to get something to the county board agenda. Dick could probably put it on there, but I mean, if it came through the highway committee, approved that highway committee, and then on to the county board.
Well, and you have to remember the wheel tax can only be used for transportation. So if the $320,000 estimated annual revenue from a wheel tax were passed and brought into the county, just being brutally honest here, if we give the highway department $300,000 and we're short everywhere else, we're going to decrease the general levy to the county highway department by $300,000. Again, just like Matt talked about earlier, it would probably be more of a wash. But in the global sense, we are a one organization. It would be bring in more money to the organization. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't want to we'll wait till next month to discuss it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there was a real reason why that didn't get a single person to vote for a motion, and that'll be the same issue the next time. Not that you won't get a motion, but there will be a crowd there. Because I represent 3 distinct districts, and I have heard loud and clear that they're against all these fee increases, and you'll hear it tomorrow. They're against a fee increase tomorrow too. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I go by what the entire board does, because that's how this works. But I will not vote for a wheel tax in any circumstances, because I have been told in the town of Peaksville, the town of Virginia, and the village of Butternut, that they are adamantly opposed to wheel tax. That's why I didn't get a motion the last time.
Would they rather have a referendum passed?
Well, let's see if the referendum
I
passes.
know, but if they had a choice,
The referendum the last time failed in every town in the entire county but one. One in the entire county. It didn't pass anywhere. This referendum is gonna be close. But I'm just saying that we need to be prepared for that, because if you go, you go to the town I live in, when their taxes went up 31.5% this year, they are angry. And you know whose anger they're going at? Me, and I can take it. And I'm only one person, so if 20 other people don't get that type of information, that's perfectly fine. I can live with that. I can go back to my people who put me in office and say, the county voted for a referendum. And I voted for a referendum. But they're angry right now. And they're not so much angry at us. They're just angry that their taxes went up 31.5%.
I know that last wheel tax, I heard some opposition to that, and there was no give. It was all absolutely no wheel tax, you know.
Just a second. I'll tell you what will happen. If the referendum fails and we start cutting a service that's important to you or me, then we're going to hear the other way. People will finally say, oh, we should have voted for a referendum. Because you stop plowing roads, they're going to scream.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and Clark's right. The mandatory stuff we have to do, but people who don't get their road plowed, they'll be the first people to say, oh, we should have voted for a referendum. But that's how this works. Right now, they're not seeing it. So, okay.
Well, Bill hit on something. If it's a toss-up between referendum and the wheel tax, it's going to be a hell of a lot less impact on the taxpayers with a wheel tax. A hell of a lot less. Taxes are going to go up, what, $200 to the average house. I'm not in favor of a wheel tax. I didn't support it before, but sometimes you got to take the lesser of the evils. And what we're up against here, we need that administration change in Madison, because there's 2 things that would help everybody in the whole county. And one of them is raising the sales tax, and the other one is raising the gas tax. Now, you can't tell me that if you raise the sales tax a 0.5 cent, look what we're up against with Minnesota. It's like, I don't know, 8-9%. Cross the big ones and see what you pay over there.
Yeah.
Another 0.5 cent, nobody's even going to notice. And it's the same thing with the gas tax. That's not a big deal, but they will not even consider it. So the only thing we can do without operation from Madison is get a new Madison.
and you're right.
Well, they don't give a damn about us up here in the woods. They don't care.
I did read something about a proposal to raise, that counties could have an option to raise 0.5%
Right.
after a local referendum, but I don't suppose that would get through the legislature.
That would have to, like, as you said, go to a referendum also, so would it pass that?
But I think that would have the luxury of taking money from outside the area.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Tap into the tourist trade.
That's not going to happen this year. In conversations with the majority leaders from both the House and the Senate last week, they said they absolutely will not consider that at all. It's a dead issue. So WCA is not working on that at all, because they're not even going to consider it.
Thank you. Okay, number 7.
So back in January, we also talked about the improvement plan I had you guys look, I had put together a long-term plan, a very long-term plan through 2034. And still just looking for ideas or ways to fund it. You know, we're being funded at 520,000 per year right now. At that, we're going to have to make changes. So there again, I don't need any decisions today, but just looking for suggestions. You know, we don't at 520, we will run out of money next year. We don't have enough to do everything. You know, I would have to cut something next year already, which we can do. We can cut some. There is, as we've been talking, possibly a little light. Hopefully we can get some of this federal. What are they even calling this newest one? I can't remember.
It's all COVID relief money.
COVID relief money. Yeah. If we could get some of that money to do some of our road improvements, that would be great. That would relieve us. I've been thinking about that. On my schedule, I have starting in 22, County Highway GG between Clam Lake and Mellon. I want to start working on that section. I don't know that I would want to put the COVID money toward that just because of this. I do have, there again, if you said the governor's budget is bombed, I don't know. The governor's budget also called for that 75 million MLS money like they did the last round. We did not get any money in that round. So, and we applied for a GG. I think we'd have a very good chance the second round now. I'm hoping we would. And then there's also coming this fall, we'll be able to apply for another flap grant, that same one that we're getting on South GG. We applied for that a year and a half ago and did not get that also. So now in the second round, our chances would be up. So yeah, we would have to look very close at how we want to spend that COVID dollars. You know, if we put it all in the GG, then for sure them other two grant opportunities would be, the flap grant, that's only available for GG because it has to be in the National Forest. It has to be, it's a federal lands access program. So that's the only road that would qualify for that. The state MLS program, we could possibly try to sell it on one of the other county highways. That one, one of the big things is economic. That helps your scoring. So we were hoping to sell GG as it's the access to the National Forest that brings in tourism dollars and some of that. Then it's also used as a haul route for forest products and wood products coming out of Mellon, heading south and west. So it's I mean, the truckers use that route pretty heavy, so it does bring economic benefit to the area. So yeah, we would have to think about jumping farther down some of these years and doing some of the other projects sooner, possibly, rather than waiting on them.
So the other issue here, which I've gone over with you before, but I'll highlight this again. So at the $520,000 debt levy that Matt has on the screen here, you can see in 2022 there's $1.12 million of the highway fund that would have to be utilized to do those projects in 2022. And we're going to get an analysis. We voted on this on the finance committee, and this is on the agenda for tomorrow to help with some analysis. But my gut guess is we don't have that money. So even though Matt technically has Matt has like $2.5 million technically in a road fund, there's not the cash there. The county has utilized that cash partly for healthcare, 1.7 million, and partly just for overruns in county budgets over the last few years. So we can't write Matt a check for $1.1 million next year, even if he wanted it, unless we basically try to say we're going to take out another $1.7 million debt load in addition to the $1.5 million debt load, to pay back the healthcare fund back to the general fund. So these things are going to have to be, I've told Matt not to sign any contracts for 2022 until we get a better cash analysis, because I don't think we're going to have the cash, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, that, I won't be doing any contracts for 22 until this time next year would be when we bid them out, and that between February and March is when we bid our road projects, so I wouldn't be doing anything until then anyway, so.
So,
Yep.
does the highway committee, if you had a choice between two different projects, would the highway committee go take a look at it, or would you just use your recommendation?
We could do it either way. I'm fine with either way.
Does the highway committee ever go look at something, or no?
We haven't since I've been around here, but they used to. I mean, that was one thing they used to do, kind of a road inspection at times. You guys want to go back to that? We could look at it. I would, talk to Bart or somebody about getting a vehicle that we could all fit in and taking a ride. I mean, I'm
Just as an example, the towns do a road inspection usually every spring about this time. The town supervisors and chairman will go tour every town road, see what's going on. So that's a good idea. Maybe that is something.
They used to do it years ago. I never talked about it. I don't know why they quit, when they quit. I do not know that.
I'm sure we'd be better off to go in two vehicles than hire Bart, as far as the cost, because I think the cost would be,
Sure.
we don't want to.
Well, Matt could let us or drive us in the county trucks, and he'll give us the old trucks.
Well, if I would really want to sell it, I'd probably go see Mike Bachler and get us a big school bus and put it in the back seat.
But that's a good idea,
And this,
We've done that several times before. I'm on the BART board, and we've given buses out to different projects to the county. And of course, I'm elected to drive the damn thing because I'm a retired over-the-road bus driver.
Sure.
So it doesn't cost the county a thing. It doesn't cost BART a little bit for the fuel, and that's about it. But they're more than willing to do that.
Okay.
And they bus is plenty big enough for. Well, they got 30 passenger buses, for God's sakes, if you need
Sure.
smaller ones for this group, but
we should take that deal.
You're a damn good man.
Sure, vote
where do you
for
get the bill?
chairperson.
Well, good.
Yeah, if you guys are interested.
Well, we don't know if it's come to the point where which one we're going to take, or,
Sure.
we don't know that yet, so.
And this is kind of switching gears a little bit, but in this last budget cycle, we kind of pruned back the debt levy. And I'm wondering, is that a permanent state of affairs, or can we go back to that?
That I do not know. I mean, so in that debt levy, our department this year, 21, got 520 for roads, and just under 300, we got our equipment budget trimmed. We had asked for 405, and I think we went to like 295.
Maybe we could take a look at that too.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, long term, unless there's some grant monies and other things coming available, 520 is going to have a very poor effect on our improvement fund, and we're not going to be able to keep up with our paving projects as I would like to see. I mean.
Yeah, and just for comparison, so basically, part of this is developing a long, adopting this plan at the county board level and having commitment from the county board to basically fund these issues. And Price County, basically, they're doing $1.7 million a year, basically in debt levy for the road department. And they're doing that for, I don't know, what are they doing that, 5 or 6 years in a row? Bayfield County doing the same thing. They're doing about 1.5 million a year for a 6-year period also. But that's where you get these projects. Basically, you look at the county board level and say, yeah, we're going to dedicate this amount of money for this period of time and try to get all these projects done. I mean, they're doing 3 times the level. And Matt, at 520, Matt's right. This is, you're basically going to be doing, Matt's going to be retired before he gets through this list,
Right. Good.
Yeah, and on my list, it also includes, some of that is, chip seals. And I believe in chip seals. I want to, ideally, I'd like to pave a road and in 3 years to 5 years, chip seal it. And that way we're gonna get our best life out of that pavement. We cut the chip seals, we're just gonna cut our pavement lights down and have to do it sooner. It helps seal it. The less water you can let in the road, the longer it's going to last. And I believe in them. I've done a lot of training. I've seen different roads to do it. I believe in it, but it costs money. And that plan I put forward does include chip seals with all of them. But that's up to, I guess, the committee and the county board how it's going to be funded into the future.
Okay, anything else on that one, Matt?
I guess not.
Okay, so 8, highway road school.
So there will be a road school, June 7th through 9th. That'll be the Chula Vista, Wisconsin Dells. The packet is not quite out yet. I just wanted to let you guys know that it is coming. If anybody's going to be interested in attending, to let me know. I can get you a registration packet. And I can bring it to the next board. It'll be out by the next committee meeting, but just to start thinking about it if anybody is going to be interested in attending.
Before we get into that too deeply, we'll have to discuss it with Clark because he pretty much got a hold of the ban on travel for expense reasons.
So I did ask Clark about this. I sent him an email the other day, and he said he thought by then things might be opening up. And I don't know about the budget wise, but it's like travel restrictions and that by then it would be opening up and we possibly could attend. But maybe it's something to discuss. Does the committee want to say if anybody's interested? 1 person, 2 person, how many person that you want to allow for budgetary reasons to attend or not? I don't know.
Well, is the fact that we're gonna have an April meeting, is that gonna be too late?
No. I just for, so it's coming,
Right.
just to think about. No, you'll be able to register probably into early
Not
May,
going.
somewhere around early May.
But, wait, Rick, what did you tell them?
I said, I'm not going.
Yeah.
It was a joke between us.
But anyways, yeah, that way everybody has a heads up the dates, and then in the April meeting, we can.
Yeah, think about it. If you're interested, bring it to the April meeting and we can talk about it and discuss it. And you guys can make a decision on who can or should go or not go or whatever.
Right.
I'll put it back on the agenda again.
Okay, thank you. And then next meeting date is, so.
We got items for the next agenda.
Oh, wait, well, let's do the meeting date first. It's 9.
Oh, okay.
The 19th at 9 o'clock, is that?
19th works for me. I was, generally it would be the 12th, like you had said earlier, but I am going to be on that week before, so
That's fine.
I would prefer the 19th.
Okay, we can make that work. Work for everybody else? Okay, and then, Bill, items for the next agenda?
Sorry for jumping ahead.
That's okay.
Before we used to go through every meeting, we used to go through and check out the vouchers.
Sure.
And I think I used to be on the finance committee, and the finance committee, the auditor, when I talked to him, he said that you should still occasionally check the vouchers. Because if you have any questions, sometimes you just don't know what's going on. So I think maybe if we kind of did it quarterly or something and just said, okay, here's the vouchers, and Matt would just go through and say, okay, this is what we paid as far as for equipment and this and that, and kind of maybe give a quarterly report so we know what's going on. Otherwise, we don't know, we don't know what's being done. So I think if we did it quarterly or something, and then kind of have a Matt have a overall view and say, okay, this is what we paid, you know. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that way.
No, and Bill, what you could do is, if we were looking at the expenditures and you spotted something, we do it all the time at the school too, you know, we just look at the overall sheet of expenditures and someone says, what did you spend $300 and some to Amazon for? Or, you know, then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the committee. I mean, if
Well,
you.
I would
you
say,
want
I
some
would
more
say
from us.
we don't need to do it every meeting, but if we did it quarterly or
If you did it quarterly and just picked a random month to go through, yeah.
What's,
So you guys usually looked at, like, you know, I'd have that summary of all the checks. Usually I do about 2 to 3 batches a month of bills that I pay, and you guys would look through that and sign off on it. I could print that same summary for you guys to look at. It says who, a brief description of what it was for, and an amount, if you wanted to look through that at each meeting still. Clark looks through them as well, but like I can bring them for you, or we can do this quarterly thing.
I don't think each meeting is necessary. I think if we did it quarterly, I think that would be.
I think some kind of random sample. We don't want to sit here all day and
Right.
going through vouchers.
Right.
Fall asleep halfway through.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
they're
I
about a few pages.
yeah,
depending on how many I do.
yeah, I agree. We could maybe come back in April with some kind of a suggestion of what would work, and then we can look at it and say, okay, we can understand. I mean, if you have a list of all your expenditures for a month, we could look at that and say, yeah, this is what we want.
Or
Or,
like, yeah, or like you said, I could try to do the first quarter. Yeah, I can do that, and then you can tweak it or say it's good or.
The other thing to consider is we don't necessarily have meetings every single month either.
Correct.
So.
right,
I would be content with quarterly.
yeah. And like I say, I would make dozens of copies, you know, we can review them through the meeting and stuff, and it's, because I'm sure somebody will say, well, what did you spend $52,000 for? And
Sure.
You'll have the answer.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
We hope he's got the answer.
Right.
I should, yeah. Clark also, if you at the bills, I'll go to him for, he looks them over before they get paid too, so.
Okay. Anything else?
I just got a question, as a point of clarification. Just a little bit ago, we talked about having a roads meeting here on the 12th of April. No, it's the 19th of April.
Well,
Because Matt's gonna be
yeah,
gone.
Matt's gonna be gone vacation on this 12th. Normally, our meeting would have been the 12th, but he's gonna be on vacation, so he asked to move it to the 19th.
19th,
Yeah, does that work?
that's fine.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
We just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mike,
I'll,
second.
I'll second it.
Second by Rick. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Andrew, sorry, that was quick.
Thanks, Clark.
Yeah, bye.
That's the quickest one we've had yet.
No.
No, how are you?